They said only 10% of its power could destroy everything in front of it. Just 10%. A mere fraction of its potential, yet enough to turn the bravest soldiers into shadows of fear. Now imagine what happened when the scale tipped to 100. Nothing left. No traces, no proof, just silence where life once existed. What you're about to hear is not a legend, not a piece of fiction, but a chilling account that kept entire nations on edge, hidden behind locked doors and sealed files for decades. Because when something so small carries the weight of total destruction, the question is not whether it should be used, it's whether humanity can even survive its existence. The whispers began in secret laboratories, where engineers, scientists, and military strategists gathered under harsh fluorescent lights, building a weapon so devastating that even they weren't sure if they could control it. It wasn't a bomb in the traditional sense. No, bombs could be disarmed, diffused, dismantled. This was something else, something alive with energy, something that fed off power like a beast hungering for release. At only 10% output, walls turned to dust, armored vehicles split open like paper, and human beings vanished into smoke. At 100%, there wouldn't even be smoke, only emptiness. Entire landscapes erased as if they never existed. Soldiers who trained with it swore they could feel the vibration in their bones long before the weapon fired. They said the air grew heavier, like it knew what was coming. Birds disappeared, animals froze, and silence swallowed everything in the seconds before detonation. And when it happened, when that trigger was pulled, there was no fireball, no cinematic explosion, just a blinding flash and then nothing. The silence afterward was more terrifying than the sound itself. Survivors, if they could even be called that, described the aftermath as walking through a ghost town that never had a chance to live. Governments denied it. Official records claimed the project was shelved, too dangerous to continue. But documents leaked, photos circulated, grainy black and white images showing craters that stretched beyond the horizon, with soil so scorched it refused to grow anything decades later. Farmers who worked the land swore they felt strange tremors, as if the earth still remembered what it had endured. And deep underground in bunkers sealed off from the world, the prototypes remained, waiting, silent, alive. Those who were closest to the project began disappearing one by one. Some said they fled into exile, haunted by what they had seen. Others, well, the official stories always ended with accidents, sudden illnesses, or tragic missteps. But the timing was too precise, almost as if someone or something was cleaning up loose ends. One former technician, interviewed under the cover of darkness, whispered that the weapon itself was cursed, that once you came into contact with it, it marked you forever. He claimed he could still hear it humming at night, echoing in his dreams, calling him back. His hands shook as he described the sound, like electricity, but deeper, almost alive. He died 3 months later in what authorities labeled an unfortunate electrical accident. For years, conspiracy theorists pieced together fragments. 10% demonstrations on isolated islands, remote villages disappearing without explanation, even satellites picking up heat signatures that vanished without a trace. Each time, officials called it a glitch, a natural disaster, or a fabrication. But there were always eyewitnesses. People who swore they saw the flash, felt the tremor, and stood in the eerie aftermath of something unnatural. They were told to stay quiet. Many did. But enough spoke, enough to paint a picture that cannot be ignored. The most disturbing account came from a soldier stationed at a test site in the desert. He wrote in his journal that his unit was ordered to stand 10 miles away, fully geared, prepared for anything. The countdown began. At 0, the flash consumed the horizon. When it faded, half the unit was gone. No screams, no bodies, just gone. Equipment melted, vehicles torn apart. The soldier's words shook as he described it. It wasn't like death, it was like they had never existed at all. His journal ended abruptly 2 days later. No one ever found him. So what happens when something that powerful exists in the hands of those who see war as a solution, not a curse? History has already shown us the horror of weapons designed to end all wars. But this was different. This wasn't just war. This was erasure, total annihilation. Not of cities, not of armies, but of existence itself. The fact that it was ever created raises a question too terrifying to answer. If 10% was already unstoppable, why would anyone ever need 100? Some say the final test did happen. Deep underground, far from any prying eyes, 100% was unleashed. The site, classified. The outcome, disputed. But the rumors are enough to keep even the most hardened skeptics awake at night. Entire regions of desert cordoned off, marked as restricted zones with no explanation. Locals whisper about strange lights, sudden disappearances, and landscapes that don't match old maps. The official story: nothing to see here. Move along. But the fear in the eyes of those who've been there tells otherwise. And here's the part that chills me most. The weapon was never destroyed. At least, not all of it. A few units, decommissioned but intact, remain locked in vaults. Some believe they're in government bunkers, others claim private collectors have their hands on them, tucked away like forbidden treasures. If that's true, then humanity is only one wrong decision away from erasing itself. Not decades, not years, seconds. A pull of a trigger, and everything we know could vanish without leaving even ashes behind. So ask yourself, how close are we right now to repeating the same mistake? How close are we to letting something like this slip through the cracks, fall into the wrong hands, or worse, be intentionally unleashed? The silence surrounding it isn't just secrecy, it's fear. Fear that if people knew the truth, if they understood the scale of devastation, panic would spread faster than the weapon itself. And maybe that fear is justified. But hiding it doesn't erase its existence. It only makes the shadows darker, the whispers louder, and the danger closer. They said 10% was deadly. They said 100 left nothing behind. Maybe you believe it. Maybe you don't. But one thing is certain. When power reaches that level, it stops being a weapon. It becomes something else entirely. Something humanity may never be ready to control. And the most haunting part? Somewhere, right now, in the silence of a bunker or the vault of a collector, it waits. Patient, silent, until the day someone decides to pull the trigger again.